Hello everyone and welcome to Tandem TV for your Tandem Guide segment. And today I'm pleased to take you to the northeast of Israel, to the regional capital of Galilee, Tiberias, along the Sea of Tiberias, also known as the Sea of Galilee. It's an exceptional city around which there are many activities to do, but above all, it's a city with a very rich history. First of all, if we start from the heights of Tiberias, we have an exceptional site called Mount Arbel with the Arbel Cliffs, whose history dates back to the Roman era. And just opposite Mount Arbel, across from Tiberias, on the other side of the lake, is the Golan. Tiberias is a city whose history goes back several thousand years and begins with a small village called Hamat, around 17 hot springs. Today we find hot springs south of Tiberias at Hamat Gader, which is also a very interesting site where there is a synagogue dating from the Byzantine era and Roman baths, which are the second largest in the Roman Empire after those in Rome, which cover 10,000 square meters. Tiberias was founded by the son of King Herod, Herod Antipas. And when I say the son, actually it's one of the sons, because Herod had many children, about 10 children. He assassinated several. But the Romans, you should know that at that time, local rulers were client kings of the Romans, decided to divide Herod's kingdom because they felt that none of his sons had the father's talent to control the entire region. So we find one of his sons, Archelaus, who will reign in Judea. And here in Galilee, we find Herod Antipas. He is given this region, and to honor the new Roman emperor, he names the city he just built Tiberias. So we start with a city built on a Roman city model. That is a fortified city with a cardo that crosses the city from north to south, and of course a theater, because in all Roman cities, a theater and baths were necessary. Fortunately, in Tiberias, thanks to Hamat and its hot springs, we have Roman baths. It is in honor of Emperor Tiberius that Herod Antipas will create the city, make this Roman city that will continue to develop. This will develop even more with the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem in the year 70. We are 4 years after the beginning of the Jewish revolt against the Romans. And this will cause the departure of the Sanhedrin, which leaves Jerusalem. The Sanhedrin is this great assembly of 71 members that has legislative and judicial power concerning Jewish life. And with the agreement of the Romans, they will manage to leave Rome to go first to Yavne in the south, then to several villages in Galilee, notably to Tzipori, Beit Shearim, and Tiberias. So the Sanhedrin will settle in Tiberias. They will write the Mishnah under the leadership of Yehuda Hanasi. So the Mishnah, the compilation of the oral law, and it is also a very particular fact that in Tiberias, one of the two Talmuds will be written. We are in the 3rd, 4th century. We talk about two Talmuds, the Babylonian Talmud, the Jerusalem Talmud, but imagine that the Jerusalem Talmud was written in Tiberias. So Tiberias will be the renewal of Jewish life in Galilee and will attract many sages and rabbis to this region. This is why we have many great sages whose tombs can be visited, notably Meir Baal Hanes and the Rambam, these two luminaries of the Jewish world who will be attracted to Tiberias and who will attract many visitors. The city will thus develop and become one of the 4 holy cities of Israel. The 4 holy cities from north to south will be Hebron, Jerusalem, Tiberias, and the northernmost city of the country, the city of Safed. And we associate these 4 cities with 4 elements. Hebron is associated with earth because it is the Machpelah, the tomb, the cave of the patriarchs, so the earth where they are buried. Further north, Jerusalem, associated with fire, of course, the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, where we had a permanent fire that allowed sacrifices to be made. All the way north, Safed, the highest city, thus associated with air. And the 4th city, the city of Tiberias, around its lake, associated with water. Tiberias, a very, very Jewish city. Let's jump in time and we arrive in the Middle Ages at the time of the Crusades. We are in the 12th and 13th centuries. Tiberias will have a strategic place in the Crusader kingdom because we will be at the border with Syria and the Arab Muslim enemies. The Crusaders therefore decided to fortify the city, and we have found many traces of these fortifications inside the city, but also a fortress with a tower overlooking the lake. You will see in the next illustration what this fortress looked like in the 13th century. Unfortunately, at the end of the Crusades, it is the Mamluks who will prevail, these former slaves who became the masters of Egypt and who will destroy all the coastal cities and Crusader fortresses. The city, after the Mamluks, will lose importance, and it is necessary to wait for the Ottoman Empire period for New Tiberias to know success. And we owe this first to Dona Gracia. Dona Gracia is an exceptional personality. She is a Jew from Portugal, one of the greatest Jewish families in Portugal, one of the greatest fortunes in Europe thanks to spices. Her family held the spice market in Europe. She inherited an impressive fleet of ships. She had to flee Lisbon, went to Antwerp, then to Venice, and was finally welcomed in Constantinople with the permanent wish to help Jewish communities around the world, especially in Eretz Israel. It is Dona Gracia who will enable the reconstruction of synagogues and revive Jewish life in Galilee, particularly in Tiberias, but also in Safed, where many Spanish Jews were welcomed by the Ottoman Empire. Another leap in time, we are at the beginning of the 20th century with the Ottoman Sultan Abdul Hamid II. In 1905, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of his reign, he decides on a completely crazy project. It's a railway of several hundred kilometers to connect Turkey to Mecca. Indeed, every good Muslim must make the pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj, at least once in their life, and the difficulties were numerous at the time. So it's a railway project that the Sultan will undertake to restore his reputation at a time when he is losing influence with significant nationalist demands. Except that the Sultan also wants access to the Mediterranean for commercial reasons. So he will launch the construction of a railway to connect the south of the Sea of Galilee to Haifa. The railway, whose stations you see right here. So Semar, south of the Sea of Galilee, will allow connection to Haifa and will develop commercial exchanges between the Mediterranean and Galilee. World War I in the region will pit the Ottomans against the British. It is the English who will win, who will take the city and invest heavily in Tiberias. And it is thanks to them that we have the city of Tiberias today. This will be done thanks to a completely crazy project, indeed, an airport. Except that this airport will be the Sea of Galilee. Thanks to seaplanes, there will be regular lines to connect Cairo, Baghdad, and London to Tiberias. And as we will see, it took a few hours to connect Tiberias to London at the time. Two particularly interesting sites to visit. First, you have the synagogue located in Ramat, slightly south of Tiberias. This city, which is the historic city of Tiberias with its hot springs, a magnificent synagogue from the 3rd century was found there. This one has been enlarged several times. With a particularity, it has exceptional mosaics on the floor of this synagogue. First, there are quite classic geometric patterns found in the Roman and Byzantine eras, obviously Jewish representations. We have a menorah, we have the Lions of Judah, we will have representations of the Holy Ark. But more surprisingly, due to Greco-Roman influence, we will also find on these mosaics representations of Greek mythology, notably the sun god, the god Helios, with the signs of the zodiac, something that seems completely unusual in a synagogue, but which was increasingly developed from the 4th and 5th centuries, where these representations were considered in their artistic vision and no longer their religious dimension, since at that time, the Byzantines, the Romans were Christians, so no more reference to the gods of Greek mythology. The second particular site you can visit in Tiberias is a discovery less than 20 years ago, a theater dating from the 2nd century AD, which is in very good condition. This theater, still in a semicircular shape, we found the lower part of the seats because due to an earthquake, the theater ceased to function and the upper part disappeared. But you can see it, and from the theater and the surroundings, there is a very beautiful view of the Sea of Galilee and its surroundings. Tiberias is the starting point for Upper Galilee. Upper Galilee, with the border with Lebanon, has natural reserves, exceptional historical and archaeological sites. And of course, on the other side of the lake, the Golan, with many synagogues, many natural parks, making it an exceptional region. Tiberias, an exceptional city with a very rich history for religious and historical reasons, and an environment, thanks to its lake, that is really worth the visit.